Hello and welcome people to the first video on my new channel. I thought I'd start with my first video being a drive of my first car. I've had this thing for about a year now, and I was doing some research on it lately after I watched a video from Drive Tribe about the was it Rover 620 Ti, and it made me wonder, actually, would it be good to make a video on this car? So when I was learning to drive about a year and a little bit ago now, actually last summer, I was so determined to get something different from the normal Fiesta and Corsa that everybody has, and I've always been into the JDM scene. Always been into the JDM scene in Japanese cars. It's always been my thing. My stepdad has an Accord Euro R, his brother has an S2000, and it's always been an interest of mine. But obviously it's expensive getting into the Japanese scene, especially before you've even got your test. I didn't even have my test booked at this point. I was still just learning. And I've spent a very long time looking on Facebook Marketplace for the perfect car. And you know what? I think I've found it. This is my Toyota Avensis SR, one of 28 or 4, whether you class it as a 2002 or a 2003. 2003's got 4 of them. But this is my first ever car. I've had it for about a year now, and honestly, best thing I've ever owned. I've never known anything like it. It's got, the SR model has got its very own 2-litre VVTi engine in it. I call it the baby Honda. My stepdad's got an Accord Euro R. This is like a little baby version, and I love it. Honestly, could not have asked for a better car than this. So, like I said, I've had this for about a year now, and it's not till recently that I started doing a bit of research into the model as a whole rather than just the car itself. I mean, the car, I found out, was super clean. It's been on the ramp and there isn't a spot of rust anywhere, which is brilliant considering it's 2002. I mean, this car was built, well, released one day before I was born actually, and it's my 21st birthday coming up soon. So the Toyota Avensis was the predecessor to the very popular Toyota Carina E, which the Toyota Carina E was kind of Japan's family saloon, kind of their answer to the 3 Series almost. And it sort of took off. It was a popular car for your common family man who wants to just travel in comfort. It was never really anything more than comfort though. It had sporting credentials because it was produced in the same factory and with the same manufacturing technique as the very popular Celica GT. So it did actually have a pretty good chassis and a pretty good foundation as to like what it was based on. And it did deliver some sportiness, but it never really lived up to anything else. Anyway, there was about 7 generations of the Carina E, something like that, until about 97. And the German market was getting very varied. They had the 3 Series, the C-Class, the A4, all were incredible cars that the Carina E just did not match up to in any way at all. So Toyota decided they were going to make the Avensis, and it was going to compete against, like I said, the 3 Series the A4 and the C-Class, which it did. I mean, it was probably the most comfortable out of all of them. This car is on a motorway, or even just around town, to be honest, it's incredibly comfortable. And this is the SR version, so this has got beefed up suspension as well, and it's still super comfortable. Here, let's just give it a little bit of a pull. So the problem it had, and the sales never really took off for this model, because the problem was it was ugly. I'll say it straight up, it was ugly. It did not have the looks of the 3 Series, the A4 or the C-Class. It just did not match in any way, and the Germans had better build quality, they had better looks, and the Avensis just wasn't selling. I mean, it only took them about a year, maybe 2, before they had to do a facelift as well. But then that was kind of because of the engine. They introduced the VVTi engines, because the other ones were so underpowered. The 1.8 only had 110 horsepower. They introduced the VVTi engines, which gave a lot more power and overall a lot better livability, as I say. Just because, I mean, say you're going up a hill, these cars aren't very powerful. This is a heavy car, it's 1400 kilos, and with only 110 horsepower, you're not going to get very far. However, Toyota decided they needed a sporty model, because the other cars just still weren't selling, they still weren't delivering. So they decided they wanted to come up with the Avensis Sport Rally, the Avensis SR. Now the Avensis Sport Rally, which is my car, it was completely different to the other cars. I call this the baby Type R. It's got a different engine, it's got different suspension, different bodywork, it's got a different anti-roll bar and loads of different things to it. And these cars came with, again, I call it like the baby K20, where it came with a 2-litre VVTi, almost Toyota's version of VTEC, shall we say. So it kicks in at 3000 RPM, it opens up the cams a little bit, and you get the extra power. This car was the only car to come with it, and I think they only used it in this and a RAV4, if I remember correctly. And it delivers a lot more punch than the others. I mean, 110, and then this gets 160 horsepower if I'm correct. I think it's 160. So it's still not a lot. I'll admit, it's still not a lot. But for a first car, it's magnificent. I love it. Absolutely love it. For my first car, I couldn't think of anything better. And the sound of it as well, all this has got, it's a stock system. It's even got a catalytic converter, 2 mid boxes, 2 pretty big mid boxes as well, and just an aftermarket back box, which was done by it was done when the YouTuber Driven247 owned this car. That was another thing I found out after buying it, that a YouTuber owned this car, so that's pretty cool. Hopefully I can follow in the footsteps, but we'll see. So yeah, it's quite a unique little car, and I like it. It may not deliver in the enormous amount of power. It's not going to blow anybody's socks off, and you know, it's going to lose a lot of races if you try and race it. But I do it for the sound. I love the look of it, even if it is a little bit of an ugly duckling. And you know what, to drive it, it's pretty damn fun, I won't lie. I mean, it's not, there's not loads of power, but actually that works in your favour, especially when you're sort of, well, I mean, I don't condone this, but especially when you sort of just passed your test, because it means you can chuck this thing around and really floor it like I just did and not break the speed limit. I mean, how good is that? You're not breaking the speed limit. And, you know, it's meant to be a sports saloon, so how much you actually want that, I don't know. I can see why this car didn't take off. It's not beating any M3s or RS4s or C63s, is it? And this is the performance model of the family sedan or saloon. It ain't gonna compete, and that's why it's so rare. But that in its own right makes it so much cooler. I mean, you show people around your car, or this car, and they don't know what it is. Whether you like that or not, voice break. Whether you like that or not is up to you. I quite like the idea of people not knowing what you have because it's that much of a classic, and it's just sort of makes it quite a unique experience, especially for your first car. I mean, when can you do these sort of things in just a standard Fiesta? I mean, yes, you can, a Fiesta ST is going to be really fun, isn't it? But just a standard Fiesta, when are you going to get feelings like this? You're not, are you? And the insurance is really cheap for what it is. So as a first time driver, as soon as I passed, I switched to this, obviously, and it was £1,800 for the year. Now that's pretty good for a 2 litre VVTi. It does, however, come with its drawbacks, I won't lie. Like every car, it's got its drawbacks. And the drawbacks are maintenance cost, really. And I don't mean it's not unreliable in the slightest. It's actually a very, very reliable car. Everything that I've had happen with this car so far is either what I call like a wearable, consumable item, or in complete honesty, my fault. So I've had this car almost run out of oil at one point. I won't lie. Completely my fault. And I'll admit it. I'm not afraid to admit it. But I simply did not realise how stupidly fast this car saps oil. Now I'm convinced, or I was convinced, that this car has an oil leak. Because I've never known a car to drink so much oil. I know they say Hondas drink a lot of oil, or BMWs say, but I've never known anything like this. We had a full service on this thing about 2 to 3 weeks ago. Rimmed the oil to the very maximum line, maybe even a drop over, just because of how much it drinks it. About 2 weeks ago, say, and we're already just below half. It's insane. It really, really saps oil like no one's business. But luckily, the fuel efficiency is pretty good. for a 2 litre VVTi, and the problem is it kicks in at VVTi at 3000 RPM, so it's not an ideal place to be honest, it's too low. But considering that, it actually, the fuel efficiency isn't too bad. For some reason, although it's not a Japanese import, I'm sure I can change the language somewhere, but this reads in litres used per 100 kilometres. So it's saying I'm doing 8.9 litres per 100 kilometres, which when I googled it, I think that was around 31 mpg. So to be honest, it's pretty good. It is pretty good. That is combined motorway and city driving, but I don't do a huge amount of motorway driving. So I'm chuffed to bits with what it gets, to be honest. And a full tank, oh god, when was the last time I did a full tank? I'd say you'd probably be getting, well, you'd probably be paying about £90-ish for a full tank. And then that supposedly lasts you about, well, it says 500 and some kilometres. It's about 300 odd miles, roughly. It's a little bit over. But it obviously all depends how you drive the thing as to whether you get that or not. You're not always going to get that, are you? And it's all just down to how you drive. Today I would have used a lot more fuel, obviously, as you just seen. But, you know, money returns, fuel goes, as long as you're living life, having fun. What else can you ask? It doesn't really matter. But yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this little video. Can't really think of what else to say, so I might have to end it here. But yeah, I mean, that was a little driving tour of my Avensis SR. If you liked it, make sure you you know, do all the normal stuff that every YouTuber says, like, comment, subscribe, all that. But I reckon I'm going to start doing more videos soon. I'm going to get into it, and I'm going to go to some car events. I reckon I'll film some car events. That'll be quite cool. Some car meets, some car shows, maybe even, I don't know, it depends, possibly British GT Championship. That'd be quite cool to see. But yeah, I'll do some more videos on my car as well. Maybe I'll modify it, who knows. But I'll keep you in the loop with what's happening. And yeah, thanks everybody for watching.